off-track betting.
Broadcasting live from the Capital OTB studios, this is Racing Across America with Seth Merrow.
On this Saturday morning, big Saturday of racing across the country. A big day at Parks, obviously, with the Pennsylvania Derby, the Cotillion, nice undercard of stakes. Also, Laurel, a big stakes day there as well. Couple of nice stakes at Belmont. So great action really at venues around the country. And we'll talk about all of that as we progress through the show this morning. A little bit later on, hope to be joined by Dave Rodman from Laurel to get a little update on their card. Taped a piece with Brad Cox. He has Monomoy Girl in the Cotillion this afternoon. So that's going to be the game plan. And I did not hear what the guy said in my ear, so I will let you say that again. Okay, we're reaching out to Dale Romans here at the top of the show, and so when we get him, we'll plug him in as well. Let me update you on our promos and events coming up. Today is a Fan Appreciation Day at the Amsterdam branch. That's on Main Street. It's a brand new branch. If you're in the Amsterdam area, check out the new branch. I was a regular at all the various iterations over the years, the old Market Street branch, and then the really nice one on Guy Park Avenue, the most recent one that was in the mall. And now they have moved just a little ways away to Main Street. And again, it's a Fan Appreciation Day today in Amsterdam. Check out the new branch. First 50 folks through the door, a bet voucher, giveaway item, and a racing program, but all throughout the afternoon contest, food and beverage, all kicks off at noon to 5. Fan Appreciation Day at the new Amsterdam branch. Also today, the Road to the Breeders' Cup $100 online win-a-bet contest. More information, obviously, online on that. Also today and tomorrow, 3% bonus days on Churchill Downs wagers. Those are exotics and multiples. More information on how you can pick up your 3% bonus on Churchill wagers via your Capital OTB Bets account if you check out the website, capitalotb.com. And tomorrow, Sunday, as all Sundays throughout the NFL season, it's a football Sunday here at the Clubhouse Racebook. Wear your jersey, you get in for free, put your name on one of the squares, and you have a chance to win a prize. That's all happening here at the Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue in Albany. Football Sundays. Watch all the games and catch all the racing action here at the Clubhouse Racebook. First time back for a Saturday Racing Across America since our sojourn up to Saratoga for most of their meet, and last weekend out at Woodbine. And again, want to thank the folks at Woodbine. I did that on some of the programming earlier this week, but for our weekend viewers, once again, I want to tip our cap to Woodbine and their hospitality last weekend. Woodbine, pick, bet, and cheer on great racing north of the border. We appreciate their sponsorship, and again, got there Thursday and always get a great tour of the backstretch on Friday morning that allows us to tape some of the interviews that we brought to you, and hopefully you enjoyed some of those and maybe made a little money based on our conversations with some of the people that we showed both Saturday and Sunday morning, our live guests as well. It's a fun couple of days up there. Saturday morning on the Handicappers Report, tossed out a little super high five ticket at Woodbine that turned out to be a winner. They had the big carryover in the mandatory payout, and it was certainly worth playing at the 20-cent increment. You could put together a little ticket. It turned out to be the ticket I gave out in the morning after scratches was only a $9 ticket, but wound up to be a winner at $630, I think, for 20 cents. That super high five. They put They had about $500,000 in the pool. They put another $2 million in. So it was worth taking the shot, as I say, at the 20-cent increment, and wound up to be a favorable outcome up there at Woodbine. I'll also toss out that I made my first visit on the drive home on Sunday to Fort Erie. I'd never been there. Lisa Blow, if you remember, used to be a regular guest of ours on Tuesdays when we were doing the weekday shows, talking a little Fort Erie. And I always said I certainly like looking at the simulcast signal. It's a unique and vegetation strewn infield. There's some spots, it has to be hard for the announcer up there, because there are a number of spots where it's hard to see the backstretch. But I swung by on Sunday. Nice track. Wound up meeting a fellow low rollers contest player. She walked up to me and said, gee, a couple of years ago you beat me in the low rollers at Saratoga. And she and her husband, I think she said they go up for about 3.5 weeks every year. But they're locals to Fort Erie, so they were at Fort Erie on Sunday. So it was nice to see a fellow low rollers player and OTB TV viewer, obviously. But they had a nice crowd there, and it was nice racing. I only stayed for a few races, but enjoyed my visit to Fort Erie. And I would recommend, as I always do, that drive out to Woodbine if you've never been there. And if you want to check some tracks off your list, maybe it's a Friday at Finger Lakes, a Saturday at Woodbine, and then a Sunday at Fort Erie. Fort Erie, I think, I know, is Sundays and Tuesdays. And I'm just not sure how much longer their season is. But it's literally right over the border in Canada from Buffalo. I mean, it's minutes from the border. So it's an easy drive right down the thruway. I always say if you want to go to Woodbine, that's a very easy drive too. You have to go into Canada and maybe another hour up in Canada to get to Toronto and Woodbine. But it's worth the trip if you've never been there. Don't forget, these days you need the passport or the upgraded driver's license to get over the border, but it's an easy drive and no hassle whatsoever. And as I say, drive also could include a couple other tracks if you wanted to make that kind of a weekend trip. Wanted to touch also, I was in here on Thursday doing OTB Live, and we were watching the Delaware County Fair and the Little Brown Jug, which we saw the first elimination heat for before I wrapped up and left for the afternoon. They had the second elimination heat as well, and then obviously the final. And it was Courtly Choice winning the Little Brown Jug. And it was interesting. Leatherup won the first elimination. Courtly Choice, I think, ran third after braking before the gate even got away, but got up there to run third and get into the field in the finale. And then they were interviewing the driver a little bit, and the driver, they said, you know, what do you think after having the trouble in the first heat? He said, yeah, we're going to win. And sure enough, they did. Courtly Choice gets it done in the Little Brown Jug. Came into the jug on Thursday with 11 wins and 24 starts, but 9 for 12 this year. Had a much more productive 3-year-old season than a 2-year-old season. So it was 9 for 12 coming in, 9 for 13 after the elimination heat, and then 10 for 14 with the Little Brown Jug in the holster after winning, as I say, the playoff, as it were, at the end of the day on Thursday, Delaware County Fair. That's another one of those I'd like to put on my bucket list and kind of check off and give a shot to. I mean, it seems like I like harness racing as much as the thoroughbreds. I just don't get a chance to enjoy it as much. I get to our local harness track occasionally. When we were down for Florida Derby, I went over to Pompano, and I like as I say, the harness, but this is a whole different thing. It's a huge crowd, 20 races, and it's a couple of good days. They have the Jugette the day before, and it's a couple of good days of harness racing out in mid-America. And again, I'd like to swing by the Delaware County Fair and give that a shot. Once again, I didn't hear okay, we're still reaching out to Dale. Haven't gotten an answer from Dale Romans. He's got a couple in. Why don't I just give you a little update on his horses while we wait and see if we can get him so he can talk about it as well. But we were going to talk a little bit about 2 horses in the Pennsylvania Derby, Mr. Freeze and King Zachary. If the guys want to show it, we'll go back and watch the West Virginia Derby. from August 4th. This was only the fourth career start. Mr. Freeze is going to be the number 5 in here and get it done pretty easily. The number 8 in here, as you can see. Number 8, Mr. Freeze. Chart margin is 8 lengths. Went off at 6-1 that day. It was only the fourth career start, and the buyer number jumped up about 20 points. This was a 102. We talked to Dale subsequently up in Saratoga, and he said, they were going to bypass the Travers, and this would probably be the spot. And you would have to think McKinsey's going to be the horse to beat. Obviously, the Bob Baffert runner, who hasn't been seen since the San Felipe, but is working pretty well. But Mr. Freeze, being lightly raced and with that big effort, I think is going to be very interesting. I'll be more interested to see if the 12-1 morning line holds up, because I think the horse has a little more talent, as indicated by that performance, than a 12-1 might indicate. Dale also has King Zachary. Going to go back and look at the Matt Winn from middle of June. King Zachary will be the number 4 horse in here, winning over Tiz Mischief and Axeman. Axeman was a promising Bob Baffert runner. Tiz Mischief was another Dale runner, so it's Dale 1-2 in this race. But King Zachary in the Matt Winn, pretty nice performance. Followed that up with a 4th in the Indiana Derby and then a 4th in the Travers. But obviously, as shown by this race, on his day, he can run a pretty big race. This was a 98 buyer figure performance. So I think Dale has a couple of runners in the Pennsylvania Derby that have the potential to make a little bit of noise. And earlier on the card at Parks, Dale also has, for our friends at West Point Thoroughbreds, 7 Trumpets. And 7 Trumpets comes out of a nice second place finish last time in the Allen Jerkins. We can take a look at that as well. Behind Promises Fulfilled. So again, Dale 1-2 in here. Promises Fulfilled. A couple of nice stakes wins up at Saratoga, including this one. Promises Fulfilled is the number 1 horse, and I'm not sure we're watching. Promises Fulfilled. Yeah. I just had the numbers wrong there. Promises Phil wins. 7 Trumpets runs second. Frenzy Fire was third. Frenzy Fire is also back in here this afternoon. I put Engage on top, the Chad Brown runner, and that one had run 4th in the race we just saw there. But I went back to the Amsterdam where Engage ran a good second behind Promises Fulfilled with a 101 buyer figure. And I think he's maybe better than we saw in the Jerkin. So I put Engage on top, Frenzy Fire in the second spot, going back to his Dwyer, and then 7 Trumpets in the third spot. But 7 Trumpets off of that Jerkins, I think, is solid and should be a lot of fun to see the follow-up and easy to root for, obviously, going for our friends at West Point Thoroughbreds, which often includes a lot of local people as well. And just before I wrapped up, I wanted to talk to Dale a little bit about this maiden winner from last week, but it looks like we're not going to get Dale. So I'll show it this one just so you have an alert to keep your eyes open for a good-looking maiden winner last weekend at Churchill, last Saturday at Churchill in a maiden special. This is number 10, Moonster. This was the second career start for this one. Got kind of a good educational debut at Ellis in the middle of August. But by Malibu Moon, you knew this was one that had the potential to win sooner rather than later. Comes out of an unbridled song mare, Mina, and Moonster. Nice win, again, last Saturday at Churchill Downs in the second career start. Went off the 5-2 favorite in a field of 10 and did it in a fashion, 2.5 lengths with a nice stretch run there that says this one probably has a little bit of a future. I wanted to check with Dale to see what the game plan might be for Moonster going forward, because I always say these fall meets at Churchill in September and a little bit later on, I like the 2-year-olds coming out of these meets. I think the 2-year-old races at Churchill at this time of year are often very salty, and we get some horses that certainly perform on the 2-year-old scene as the fall progresses, but can show up and be real contenders as well going forward as 3-year-olds next year. So again, keep in mind Moonster. That was only the second career start for that one. A nice 2-year-old colt from Malibu Moon. Calumet and Dale Romans, winner last Saturday down at Churchill. All right. I guess we'll go to a break. And when we come back, again, yesterday we did catch up with Brad Cox. He has Monomoy Girl in the Cotillion a little bit later this afternoon, but he's got a few 3-year-old fillies and stakes races today as well. The Charlestown Oaks, and he also has a runner over in the stake at Churchill for 3-year-old fillies. We hit on those and caught up with some of his nice maiden winners from last weekend as well. So we'll take a break, come back, and catch up with Brad Cox a little bit later on. Dave Rodman, stay tuned.
The backstretch workers are the heart and soul of what we do.
They're the backbone of the industry.
People on the racetrack are very giving people.
It's a very oppressive community of people helping one another. We see it all the time.
Any help we need it. It's right there in their hands.
It makes so much easier in the family to have somebody like Nathan to help them.
Visit Rivers Casino and Resort, the Capital Region's only destination for live table game action and the hottest new slots paying out millions. And they're off. Horse betting is now at Rivers Casino and Resort with Capital off-track betting terminals and live tellers located just off the gaming floor at Van Slyck's. Get in on all the action at Rivers Casino and Resort.
Come on.
I want sales reports on my desk by Monday.
Whoops, my bad.
Love racing? RTN brings you every live simulcast on your home television, plus live video streaming and race replays on your PC and mobile devices. To order, visit rtn.tv. RTN, a breed apart.
If you like to play the Late Pick 5, here's some great news. Capital OTB is now accepting internet wagering on NYRA's Late Pick 5 at Saratoga on all platforms and all digital devices. Simply log on to capitalotb.com, look for the icon, and there you go. If you're playing on one of your digital devices, just open your Capital OTB Bet icon, click on the menu button, and scroll down to find the Late Pick 5. Late Pick 5 wagering, now at Capital OTB.
Welcome back to Racing Across America on a Saturday morning. Yesterday we caught up with Brad Cox, Monomoy Girl in the Cotillion. I talked to him when we were down Belmont Stakes weekend down at Belmont covering that. I talked to him as he walked out of the winner's circle at the Acorn, and he said right then the game plan was going to be Coaching Club American Oaks and Cotillion, and he stuck to that plan. So we caught up with Brad, who, if you read articles, less and less, it's the next big thing. The next part of that is coming out of it. But certainly earlier this year, before Monomoy Girl got him his first Grade 1 win, Brad Cox had the potential to float a little bit under the radar for people who are more casual fans, maybe focusing only on the New York circuit or mostly on the New York circuit. For somebody like me who was watching all the various circuits around the country on more of a daily basis, Brad Cox had come to the forefront a while ago. But certainly with Monomoy Girl and getting his first Grade 1 and now a few Grade 1s under his belt so far this season, Brad Cox has kind of come on the radar for many people. But as I say, earlier this year, a lot of the articles that talked about him in Monomoy Girl said, Brad Cox, the next big thing on the training scene. But he's easy to root for, a great guy and very accommodating when you call up and you want to speak to him a little bit. So we did catch up with him yesterday. Not only Monomoy Girl, but as I said earlier, has a couple other 3-year-old fillies and some stakes races at other venues, and he had a couple of nice maiden winners last weekend as well. So we talk about all of that with Brad Cox up next. Happy to be joined this morning by Brad Cox, of course, the favorite in the Cotillion down at Parks, and some other runners on Saturday afternoon. And maybe we'll recap from last weekend as well as a couple of nice maiden special winners. Brad, good morning.
Good morning, Seth. How you doing?
Very good. Happy to catch up with you on the morning of the Cotillion, talk a little Monomoy Girl. We talked to you up at Saratoga here on the network before the Coaching Club American Oaks, and as the month progressed, we talked to Liz Crow, The last weekend of the meet, Steve Bick and I on the Sunday show had Sal Kuman on, so we talked to some of the principals, and she's been very special for everyone who's involved with her. And while we talk, let's take a look back at that Coaching Club American Oaks, July 22nd up at Saratoga. Monomoy Girls, the number 4 horse. Midnight Bishu, the number 2. Chocolate Martini, the number 1. Monomoy Girl wins by a chart margin of 3 lengths as the 1-2 favorite. Brad, just give me your impressions of the Coaching Club American Oaks and how you felt about that performance.
It was a big effort. She was able to get to the lead and kind of control things early, and she kicked on. You know, a mile and 1/8 at Saratoga is a demanding race. You know, I guess there was a little bit of a question mark if she'd take to the track, being known as the graveyard of favorites or whatever, whatever they call it. But you know, she got it done. She came out of it in good order. We kept her up there for 3 weeks post-race, just kind of let her enjoy the you know, the cool weather, and the owners enjoy seeing her train, and I had an opportunity to breeze her once up there after the race. But as far as the race goes, it was a big performance, and that's what we were looking for, and she gave it to us.
And I had talked to you right after the Acorn win down at Belmont, and I'm right after, as you walked out of the winner's circle, and you said the game plan, Coaching Club American Oaks, and then on to the Cotillion. But I did see that August 11th work at Saratoga, so you kept her up there a little bit. After the big performance in the Coaching Club American Oaks, was there any contemplation or discussion about potentially going to the Alabama?
Not really. Honestly, kept her there. I was just spending a lot of time at Saratoga myself with the sales going on, or the sales coming up. And the owners obviously were there with Michael Dubb and Saul Kuman, so it just made sense to kind of leave her up there and, you know, let them enjoy watching her train. And myself being there, it just kind of seemed to work out really well. But no, we really never entertained the idea of the Alabama. Kind of thought Cotillion made more sense with the distance, the purse, and the timing as far as leading up to the Breeders' Cup.
Again, the workout on August 11th at Saratoga, and then since then, a week later, shows up at Churchill and been working out there since. Game plan, I guess that's just the home base and get her down there to the home base, but also I assume get her as familiar and as happy with that track where she's run well before, obviously. But again, with the Breeders' Cup coming up this fall, it makes sense to get her down there as soon as possible.
Yeah, it's home for her, and it's just kind of where we feel like we get our best line on a horse as a stable. It's just, you know, we just seem to really get a good line on a horse there, training over that racetrack. You know, spring, summer, and fall. So surface has been very good to us, and it's home for us and it's home for her. So it just she likes it there, so we just thought that made the most sense at the time.
And give us your thoughts on how she's worked since coming out of the Coaching Club American Oaks down there at Churchill. Certainly the last couple of works, which are a minute and change, September 9th, a bullet, September 16th as well. The numbers indicate she's coming into this weekend pretty well.
Yeah, she is. She's really training well. 2 weeks ago, it will be 2 weeks this Saturday, or Sunday, I should say. Her work was phenomenal. It was, I believe she was, you know, 5/8 and somewhere around a minute out, 3/4 and 13, 7/8 and 26 and 2. So I mean, it was exactly what we were looking for. She gave it to us, bounced out of it really well. I could tell right after that breeze, she become much more sharper in her gallops, more aggressive. Picked up the pace in her gallops. Was just, you know, very forward and wanted to, you know, train on, and that led over into this work this past Sunday, and then same thing. She's just been, you know, ultra aggressive and ready to go all week, and had 2 fantastic gallops here at Parks the last 2 mornings. And we just finished up schooling her, and she's doing extremely well. Excited about her.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that because I read a quote last night that you said she arrived at the track and yesterday, I guess, went out for 1.5 miles and seemed to like the surface. And you also alluded to in your comments, you thought her style would play to the park surface.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it seems to be, you want to be somewhat poorly placed. And, you know, obviously the stretch here is not really that long. I think, you know, I was looking at it, you know, when I first got here, it looks like it's just right at 3/16 of a mile as far as length of the stretch. And, you know, I think that could probably play in favor of a horse that has some speed, or a horse wanting to be close to the lead. So, you know, we'll see. It's a 1.16 miles. I think the distance suits her, 2 turns suits her, and she's ready to go.
And, looking at the field, Jump Ruler, long shot, maybe has a little bit of early speed, but it looks like you'll stick with your game plan. 2 back, you were kind of off the pace in the Acorn, but went back to the front running style last time in the Coaching Club American Oaks. I would assume, obviously I always leave it up to the jock a little bit, but I would assume the game plan is to go out and kind of try to take them all the way around.
Yeah, we'll ask her to run away from there. I mean, that'll ultimately be up to Florent on, the placement and how it unfolds going into the first turn and around the first turn. But we're not gonna plan's definitely not to take back and try to do anything we haven't done before. I mean, she obviously can pass horses. She proved that in her first start this year in the Rachel, and then obviously setting off a couple fast fillies in the Acorn. So she's tactical. She does not have to be on the lead. If somebody really feels like they need to lead a little more than us, they need to be in front of us, so be it. I think she can adjust, and Florent will know what to do.
Yeah, we saw that again in the Acorn a couple of starts back. You mentioned you schooled her. What's the game plan there? You take a walk through the paddock. Is that kind of the game plan? Any new track you go to, or is that just the game plan, a day-to-day kind of a thing?
That's just post race, not post race, pre-race preparation we do with pretty much every horse we have with the school up in the paddock. 2 days before or day before. In her case, it's the day before. She handled it in great shape, good order, and very professional. And she's, like I said, she's ready to go. She's got her game face on, ready to rock and roll.
And I'll ask you, as a handicapper, I've said this a number of times over the past few years. When I first got into the game, weight meant a lot more to me than it does now. But spreads of weight can make a difference. You're picking up 124 on the conditions of the race. Midnight Bishu also with 124, but there's a couple in here with 117. So you are giving a little bit of weight, and now 124 is the most she's carried. Any concerns with you about the weight?
Not really. I mean, I'm not going to worry about it because I can't control it. Yeah. So, no, there's not. Well, I think we gave a good filly in the Acorn 8 pounds, and it worked out. She got the job done. So, like you said, I'd like to be carrying equal weights, but I'm not. It's just had the conditions of the race, and that's it. We signed up for it, and we'll see what happens.
And finally, is the game plan from here to the Breeders' Cup? There's no plans for a race in between?
No, I wouldn't think so. I mean, we've had 9 weeks to prepare for this cotillion, and then I believe it's 6 weeks to the Breeders' Cup. So no, this would be the last race before the Breeders' Cup. I don't feel like we would need anything else. Providing everything goes good here, we will shoot for the Breeders' Cup.
All right. Well, we wish you a lot of good luck with Monomoy Girl on Saturday, but you have some other 3-year-old fillies for our viewers who may be playing some of the other tracks around the country. Wanted to get some thoughts on those going to the Dogwood at Churchill on Saturday. 7 furlongs for the 3-year-old fillies. You have Figuerella's Queen in here. I'm going to go back to her last appearance at Churchill. That was an optional claimer back in June. Figuerella's Queen is going to be the number 5 horse. She will win. Subsequently, she was a really good second behind Talk Vuv to me in the Indiana Oaks. But then threw in a kind of a head scratcher and was eased in the Alabama. Give us the follow-up, the takeaway from the Alabama and how she's coming into the race on Saturday.
Well, she's training really well. We wouldn't have put her in if she wasn't. She had a phenomenal work last weekend at Churchill. She's training really well. I don't really know about the post being stuck down inside going 7/8. Obviously, we're shortening her up. Do think she likes the dirt more than the turf. She's been on dirt, both surfaces and run well on both. The Alabama, I mean, she's all line through the fast pace and done at the half-mile pole, and IRAC just kind of wrapped up on her, but she's come back to train extremely well down in Churchill, and hopefully she'll move forward tomorrow.
Yeah, as you say, in a big field, the one post is going to be a little something to overcome. But let's move over. Better post position for Sense of Bravery, and again, another 3-year-old filly stake, the Charlestown Oaks on Saturday. Grade 3 event for $300,000, and that's also 7 furlongs, but 7 furlongs at 2 turns down at Charlestown, and with her front-running style, you would have to think that is going to be beneficial. We're going to take a look at the Groupie Doll at Ellis. which was her most recent start. Nice second behind Champagne Problems. Sense of Bravery is going to be the number 1 horse. The winner again, Champagne Problems, the number 3. But as I say, a good second over at Ellis, and with her front-running style, you'd have to think that Charlestown Oaks at the 2 turn 7 furlongs will be right in her wheelhouse. Is that your thinking?
Yes, exactly. I'm kind of hoping she'll be fully placed, and Louis Sias can get her out and get her in the race and kind of see how it unfolds. But I mean, obviously it's a bull ring. She's never been around one of those, but I think she's got the style that should suit it to that type of racetrack.
She's also kind of an up-and-comer. That Groupie Doll was only her 5th career start, her first start in stakes company. So again, we're watching the stretch run here of that Groupie Doll. You had to be happy with that. Again, given it was only the 5th career start, first stakes try to run a good second in there.
Yeah, no, it was a big race. Like you said, the start of her career. 3-0 against Olders. We thought about going to the Monmouth Oaks with her, but we backed off and ended up going back to Ellis and running against older horses. And it was a good race. The filly that won the race, a really nice filly, come back to was beating the nose in a Grade 3 last weekend at Churchill. So it seems like the race, holding up. The form's holding up on the race, and hopefully she'll move forward on Saturday in Charlestown.
Again, we wish you good luck with all those Saturday runners, but before we let you go, I wanted to go back to last Sunday because you had some nice maiden special winners, and I wanted to alert people to those and get some of your thoughts. Again, going back to last weekend at Churchill Downs, we're going to watch a couple of maiden special events, split divisions, in fact, but Kofefi, and I'm going with the pronunciation there, Travis Stone, and I'm going to trust him, but Kofefi making the career debut, the number 5 horse. Really solid win, just under 10 lengths was the margin as the 1-2 favorite. Brad Kofefi, a nice steady string of workouts going back to Keeneland in May, some bullet workouts under there, Buy Into Mischief, $250,000 they paid for this horse at Keeneland last year. So give me, I mean, obviously, given what the horse, the breeding and the purchase price and the workouts, you had to have great expectations. But what were your expectations going in? And more importantly, perhaps, your impressions coming out of the win from Kofefi?
Well, dealing with young horses, they definitely give you a feel or a sense of what they could do in the afternoon of the morning, and she gives the feel and the sense that she was a good one, and she showed up and got the job done. I mean, bottom line, she ran extremely well. She's very, very fast. She's got speed. I think she can carry it a little beyond 6 furlongs, hopefully a mile. I mean, be nice if she could, handle a mile. We'll see. She'll tell us in the future. But she's out of an unbridled mare. But really nice filly, a lot of talent, and it's just about getting her happy, healthy, and sound, and picking some spots. Don't really have anything picked out for her right now, but she did come out of the race in great shape, and we'll keep marching forward with her.
Yeah, as I was reading some follow-ups last night, she came out of that race with an 86 buyer figure, which is notable because the day before, the Pocahontas winner only had a 78. So she beat the buyer from the stakes winners the day before by 8 points. And I read that, as you just said, you don't have anything pointed out, but I did read potentially a stakes race for the next start.
Yeah, it's possible. Nothing, like I said, nothing, carved in stone right now, but she did come out of in good shape, and we're just going to let work her back here in a week or so, and just kind of let her tell us where she's at, and start maybe hunting around for a spot.
And wanted to take another look at that split division. As I say, that was race 7 on Sunday. Race 8, again, the same condition, the split division. We're going to watch number 10, Unholy Alliance. This one also a career debut. Chart margin of 3 lengths. This one a little bit more value, paid $10 and change, so a little bit more unexpected, but give us your impressions of the career debut for Unholy Alliance.
Very nice. That's another filly we thought a lot of. Probably not, I mean, she does not have the speed that Kofefi has, but she's definitely a real racehorse, and she was able to break and kind of settle the first quarter mile, 3/8 of a mile, and Sean did a good job of kind of keeping her to the outside and letting her run down the lane, and she stayed on. It's a big effort, and she's another one that we'll hunt for a stake or an allowance spot for her in the coming months.
Yeah,
about she comes out of it.
About the 8th pole, she still had to make up some ground, but she goes by the horse and opens up again, the chart margin of 3. That was pretty good looking. I was looking at the dates of the last few workouts. Did those two work in company?
They have before, but not the last few weeks.
Okay.
They hadn't in the last few weeks leading up to the race.
And I also have to ask you this. It's a split division, and I'm just curious. I'm assuming it's the luck of the draw. So it's a split division. That's just serendipity that it worked out for you, right? That you didn't wind up in the same half of the division.
Well, no, you can enter split only. Like you'll enter
Okay.
Philly and then you'll do a split only. Is how you do that, just to kind of keep keep from running against stablemate. So it worked out well.
Yeah, that did work out well as you picked up both of those divisions with a couple of nice looking first timers that we'll keep our eyes on. Brad, again, congratulations on those two over the past weekend, but certainly coming up on Saturday, a lot of luck and good fortune going forward with your fillies on this Saturday, particularly Monomoy Girl. Really hope the best for her this Saturday and going forward, and certainly we'll talk again in the future.
All right, Seth. Thanks. Talk to you soon.
Brad Cox, again, Saturday afternoon, the favorite in the cotillion with Monomoy Girl.
Out of the fog.
So we're rooting for Monomoy Girl in the cotillion. Certainly a good story that is easy to get behind in the horse racing game, but also Brad has Figuerella's Queen in the Dogwood, Sense of Bravery in the Charlestown Oaks, and those two nice maiden winners from last weekend that we'll have to keep our eyes on as well. Again, thanks to Brad, as I said earlier, take the next out of the next big thing description that he had earlier this year. Monomoy Girl has put him front and center, certainly. And while the interview was going, I checked Equibase. Brad Cox so far this year nationally sitting 6th as far as money won among trainers and 4th as far as the number of wins this year. So Brad Cox, as I say, easy guy to root for, nice guy, very accommodating. We appreciate his time that he gave us yesterday for that interview. We'll take a break. When we come back, also appreciate a visit from Dave Rodman. He's live from Laurel. They have a big afternoon down there as well. Lots of stakes action. We'll get an update on everything Laurel in just a couple of minutes with Dave Rodman. Stay tuned.
Pick, bet, and cheer on live racing from Woodbine and Mohawk Park. Thoroughbred and harness action. The wagers are just the beginning. Watch award-winning broadcasts covering both breeds, incredible battles contested over the most unique grass course in North America. Experience the full fields with over 130 thoroughbred and 160 live harness days. Get access to free handicapping material and join the ranks of Woodbine and Mohawk Park players from all over the globe. For more information, visit woodbine.com.
What if there was a way to become a better horse player, to have a better knowledge of the game, to be more successful? What if there were a way to take what you've learned, what you know, and make better decisions, better choices, to know how to connect the dots? In horse racing, knowledge is a powerful tool, but not the only tool. Race results and replays, past performances and live streaming, wagering from all your digital devices. These too are important tools, and you'll find them all right here at Capital OTB. Capital OTB. Become a better horse player.
Looking for a fantastic meal? Stop by Malcolm's, a unique farm-to-table restaurant experience. Located at 617 Union Street in Schenectady, Malcolm's offers locally grown fresh foods, mouth-watering flavors, an enhanced drink menu, and terrific service. Malcolm's is a sure bet during Saratoga season. Make your reservation today.
Had a little Parks concentration earlier on their Pennsylvania Derby Cotillion Day, but also down in the Mid-Atlantic region, a big day at Laurel as well. So I thought I'd reach out to our friend Dave Rodman. Dave, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Seth. Long time no talk to you.
Yeah,
Good to be
really.
on again.
Always happy to have a little Dave Rodman time. And before we get any deeper into it, I did a bankroll here yesterday where I was kind of betting, and I threw Laurel into my mix. So we were playing a little Laurel during the afternoon. Hit the late pick 4, but at $55, I wasn't thrilled with the bankroll result. I think if we could have beaten that Graham Motion favorite earlier and at the top of the stretch, I thought we might, but didn't get it done. But again, we were watching.
I apologize. I jinxed you on that one because I really thought I thought the horse who was on the lead was going to beat him.
So did I.
The rail opened up, and here comes the favorite. But, they both ran big races, no doubt. But I did think that the Motion horse is a bit overplayed, but both horses have quite a bit of talent.
Yeah, he was coming out of some stakes races against 3-year-olds earlier, and so you could see where the betting public is going. But I'm with you at the top of the stretch, and I think that would have juiced up the pick 4 nicely. But watching the racing yesterday, you were off the turf. I've checked Twitter. It looks like with a lot of great stakes action as well on the grass today. On the grass today, what's the weather update?
Well, right now it is sunny, nice in the 70s today. It's supposed to cloud up this afternoon. They claim a 50% chance of rain, but I think that's going to be late this afternoon, and then this evening, and possibly rain tomorrow. So we're happy to be back on the turf. It's been a long time between Hurricane Florence dumping those squall showers and storms on us, and between, a lot of rain in a short period of time, and then rain prior to Florence passing just west and north of us. So we're happy to be back on the grass. And I think it's anything but firm today. I would go to the yielding side, but it's hard to tell until we run on it.
And we'll just remind people, because it was weather-related, that we have such a great stakes day today. There was supposed to be some stakes last weekend and this weekend, but because of the anticipation of the storm last weekend, all of those stakes were moved to today as well. So it's really a combination of a couple of great stakes days.
Yeah, the Fall Festival was supposed to be last weekend, but with the Florence rains, everything moved to today. So today's originally carded stakes, which is the Commonwealth for Virginia restricted runners, will be held tomorrow. So we kind of shifted things around a little bit, but a little more appropriate for the Fall Festival of Racing, since I think it is officially fall today, right? It's tonight
exactly.
or tomorrow.
Yeah. No, it was yesterday, I think.
Yesterday.
Yeah. It was like 9:45. I always wonder, how do they figure that out? I think you have to be a meteorologist.
It's a little humid, like it may rain later, but right now it's like sunny skies, and we've had a lot of sunshine this week. A little cloudy yesterday, but a lot of sun. Hopefully dry out the course a bit.
Yeah, keep our fingers crossed, because again, there's a lot of great stakes action on the grass as well. But let's start out with the highlight of the day on the main track, the DeFrancis Memorial Grade 3 event, $250,000, 6 furlongs, the trip. And Dave, while we talk, I pulled up the Maryland Sprint going back to May 19th. The number 5 Switzerland will be the pretty easy winner in here for trainer Steve Asmussen. Subsequently came up to Saratoga and ran kind of a disappointing 5th in the Vanderbilt. But again, this is 2 starts back that we're watching. It was over a sloppy track, as folks can see here, but that was a big performance. The second of 2 triple digits, as he had a triple digit just prior down at Oaklawn. Gets stuck in the rail post position today, but is 5-2 on the morning line. He's kind of interesting, but it's a nice competitive field of 9. What are your thoughts in the DeFrancis?
He ran 5th to Imperial Hint last time in Saratoga and the Grade 1 Vanderbilt. I think kind of was enhanced a bit by the sloppy track at Pimlico that Preakness weekend with all the rain we had. He did beat Louisfield, but being stuck down to the inside, I really think Always Sunshine, the 5, is the horse to beat. I hope we can get 3-1 on him. He's the second wagering favorite on the morning line. I think anything 2-1 or over would be really nice, generous price on him. I really love him today, Seth. I don't know about you, but ever since that win back in the Hawkinson at Delaware mid-July, I said this guy is going to be a tough customer in the DeFrancis Dash. And with XY Jet not here and Imperial Hint not here, I think it's going to make things a little bit easier. He's got a perfect draw, kind of the middle of the pack, with great tactical early foot. And with a sharp break, he looks like a single to me if you're playing the late sequence. It's just my opinion.
Yeah, and he tossed in a triple-digit buyer in that restricted stake win up at Saratoga last time, so I agree, completely logical there.
Let's go 1 for 2 at Laurel as well. So
let's go a little bit earlier on the card to the Laurel Futurity, a little bit different than your father's Laurel Futurity, as it's been moved to the grass, and it's a grass sprint. But race number 4 this afternoon at Laurel is the Laurel Futurity, $100,000 up for grabs. I think it's a nice competitive field. I love that subdivision of 3-year-olds on the turf, and obviously this 2-year-olds on the turf has the potential to put some of the horses that will be players in that 3-year-old turf division next year. While we talk, I'm going to pull up maiden special weight race from August 10th at Saratoga. The number 3 here is going to be Veterans Beach for Dave Donk. You know, the buyer figure was a little light. It was only a 66, but if you look at the rest of the field, there aren't any buyers that are really jumping off. It's still kind of early for these 2-year-olds on the grass, but Dave Donk, Patricia Generazio, 9-2 on the morning line. Veterans Beach looks interesting to me, but it's a competitive field of 14 with a couple of also eligibles in here, or main track onlys as well. So it'll scratch down to a field of about 11, but it's still a nice competitive field in the Futurity. Your thoughts?
2-year-olds whose numbers can go up and down, improvement expected, or perhaps one tailing off with a big field, maybe some trips. It's going to the second wire finish at 6 furlongs, so that's what makes it a wide open race. I'm going to look at your horse there, but we'll go maybe to a long shot in number 3, Scrap Copper. He's a Great Notion colt, a Maryland bred, who I thought was very impressive on the sloppy track and digging in for the win. The runner-up, a Boss, third-place finisher, Beyond the Victory, both came back with great scores, and Great Notions can run on just about anything. He's got a little bit of a competitive number in here. The question is, will he like the turf? I've seen Great Notions run on glass and win. They're just they just run on anything. I was just visually impressed by him. Hope he gets a good trip. Tammy Smith there with Scrap Copper.
All right, and we'll look at a 10-1 on the morning line. Got to like that. Let's go up
and also wanted to mention Absolved on the outside, too, from the Claudio Gonzalez barn, a leading trainer. He's a horse by Blame, who, of course, is by Arch, another Maryland bred. I think the Maryland breds have a good chance in this spot.
And again, it is a nice competitive field of 2-year-olds that should offer some value if folks want to play around. Let's go out to race number 8. That's the Laurel Turf Cup at 1.5 miles. Field in here of 11. Again, another nice competitive field in here. Hello Don Julio comes in with a string of triple-digit buyer figures. Renowned Elizabeth Voss has a nice run last time, going 3rd in the John's Call. There are a couple others in here with buyer numbers that I think are right in the mix after you get past Hello Don Julio, because again, that string of triple digits kind of stands out. 5-2 on the morning line, but again, in the Laurel Turf Cup, another big field of 11 in here. Your thoughts?
It's good to see horses come back year after year and make an attempt at this race. Renown won this race in 2016. In 2017, finished 3rd behind a really nice horse, Conessor, in the Laurel Turf Cup. So back again as a 7-year-old now, with a couple of races under his belt in prep for this, and a good effort behind Focus Group in the John's Call up at Saratoga. He's a distance specialist. You get Trevor McCarthy aboard today. Am I correct there? Yeah, on Renown for trainer Elizabeth Voss. Old timer, likes the distance. Ran 3rd in a really quick race, I thought there, the John's Call. When you compare to others, good effort at 37-1. I think he's locked and loaded today. Another horse that interests me, but he's got a far outside gate, but that doesn't bother me with 1.5 miles. They'll have a chance to do whatever they want with the trip. It'll Centron on Tizzle Runner from the Michael Maker barn, beaten 2 lengths by Arklow, who's the next out winner at Kentucky Downs next time out. He's a horse here with a bit of a chance at maybe a bit of a price too. Renown and Tizzle Runner. And obviously, speed of the speed maybe is Hello Don Julio. A lot of people will be keying off of him and trying to sneak away. But having not run on this course, again, in weeks and all the rain we've had, we'll see, how he can handle that. I mean, he's not won recently. He did win on the good ground at Saratoga, but, if they let him sneak away, he's obviously going to be on the lead in here. But I'm thinking with all the rain, you're going to have a little bit of give in the ground, and that'll help a horse like Renown.
All right, and finally, let's go out to race number 11. Again, there are many stakes that we've skipped over here. It's a really stakes-laden card. It should be a lot of fun this afternoon at Laurel, but I wanted to touch on race 11 because it's kind of the girls' division of that Futurity we look later. Futurity for the boys, the Salima. for the 2-year-old fillies, going 6 on the grass. I kind of think this field is a little bit stronger and more intriguing than maybe the boys division. Andarta comes in for Tommy Albatrani off a nice win to break the maiden up at Saratoga. Surge of Pride comes in for Linda Rice off a career debut maiden breaker. Shooby Dooby Doo looks pretty good for John Service, but the first 2 were on the dirt at Parks, now tries the grass. Elsa also looks like a contender and is 9-5 on the morning line for Stidham. And Godolphin third last time in a little stake up at Saratoga. And a horse that a price I think could be interesting, Monkey's Uncle, with the maiden breaker over at Delaware. Daniel Centino comes over to ride this afternoon. What are your thoughts on this, Alina?
Yeah, you've touched on a lot of the fillies I like. Of course, you do have the Frank Sinatra angle there and Shooby Dooby Doo. Service for that big win percentage for the year. But look at this first-time turf for daily racing form. 0 for 42.
Yeah.
Interesting, isn't it?
Yes.
On Shooby Dooby Doo. Elsa, I thought, who's the morning line favorite, was a filly with a tremendous amount of talent. I don't think she liked the ground there at Saratoga when beaten by Stillwater Cove. And Stillwater Cove ran the other day, didn't she, somewhere? But that was a route of ground, and maybe she doesn't want to go that far. So I think I'm going to use Elsa, but there's another filly in here I like a lot. It's number 9, Helen, the Gio Ponti out of Unbeldai, who's a full turf runner who did some running at Tampa, going longer distances. I've always liked this filly. She was very game in defeat in her debut run, and then I thought a very impressive runner in the mud when beating Bye Bye Birdie, who was an outstanding dirt next out winner, breaking maiden. And then last time out, she was a little bit green. There's no change of equipment today on her, number 9 Helen, but she's a sister to a horse that liked the grass, perhaps maybe a little longer is what she wants, and she gets it today, another 16th of a mile, having 6 furlongs of that second wire run. That's a quarter-mile run, and I like your horse there, Monkey's Uncle, too, at a bit of a price. So open affair here in the 11th race.
Yeah, Arnaud Delacour and Layel with Monkey's Uncle won the career debut over at Delaware as the 4-5 favorite, now 12-1 on the morning line. Your Helen at 10-1. So this may be one to play around and box up some horses in a little bit of an exacta.
Yeah, and Darta's going to get a lot of play, too. I'm most concerned about her, that inside post with fillies to her outside. You know, she looks like she's got a number to win the race, at least, you know, in my figures, but I'm a little concerned with that inside draw for her. I'm going to use Helen in the exactas there, 1-2. I've always had this filly in the back of my mind as being a stakes horse. I don't know whether she's going to do it on the turf or the dirt, but take one more try with her. And listen, maybe for a late change of equipment, or maybe they did something subtle with her bridle here, or a bit rather, in Helen, because she did lug around a little bit last time out.
I like it. All right, Dave, got to wrap things up, but as always, appreciate the visit. We wish you and everybody at Laurel good luck this afternoon, and of course, we'll talk again.
Okay, Seth. Talk to you later. Have a great day.
Dave Rodman from Laurel, again, a really nice stakes day down there, and we just hit on a few of the stakes, but those 2-year-old turf stakes I think are going to offer some nice value, particularly maybe that Salima that we took a look at with a couple of horses we like at good morning line odds. So take a look at Laurel. Of course, Parks this afternoon with the Pennsylvania Derby and the Cotillion, and a nice undercard of stakes there as well. A couple of stakes also this afternoon at Belmont Park. We'll have all of that on OTB Live this afternoon. I'll be back in a couple hours to kick that off, but I'm going to wrap things up for this edition of Racing Across America. Before I do, just again, the promos today, Fan Appreciation Day at Amsterdam, their new branch on Main Street. Swing on by noon to 5. First 50 folks through the door. A bet voucher, giveaway item, a racing program, food and beverage. There's a contest as well. Right on Main Street in Amsterdam. The brand new branch, a Fan Appreciation Day. Swing by if you're in the area. Road to the Breeders' Cup, $100 win-a-bet contest today online. Check out capitalotb.com for more info. 3% bonus days today and tomorrow on Churchill Down, multiples and exotics. More information on how you can pick up that bonus with your Capital OTB bet account by going to capitalotb.com. And tomorrow here at the Clubhouse Racebook, a football Sunday. That happens every Sunday during the NFL season. Watch all the games. Enjoy all the racing action. Wear a jersey, you get in for free. Put your name on the squares and you have a chance to win a prize. NFL Sundays here at the Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue in Albany. All right, back in tomorrow with more Racing Across America for a Sunday at 10 a.m. But in the meantime, as I say, be back in a couple hours with OTB Live this afternoon. So wrapping things up for this edition of Racing Across America. We'll see you in a couple. As far as this program, we'll see you tomorrow at 10 a.m.
You're watching OTB TV, a service of Capital Off Track Betting.